On this video, I'm going to give an introduction into how to solve algebraic equations. So we're going to get into very simple examples in this video, and then in the next video, I'm going to show some little bit harder examples. So an algebraic equation, this is going to be anything that has two expressions separated by an equal sign. You have an equal sign in between two expressions. There's an expression in the left side, and there is an expression in the right side. So if you have this equal sign here in between, it means that there's going to be a solution for this equation. And what is a solution for this equation? Is going to be this number that if you substitute into the x or every x that you have around in your equation, this is going to make the statement true. So this is going to make the left side equal the right side of the equation. So this is going to be an algebraic equation, and we're going to try to find the solutions to these equations. So I have found that the most simplest way to find the solutions is if we follow the next steps. So the first thing that we have to get rid of is always going to be fractions. And on the next video, I'm going to show you how to get rid of fractions when you have one of those availables into an equation. The second thing that you have to get rid of is going to be parentheses. So you always have to follow this order of operations. So I don't want to call it order of operations because this is not pandas, but we're going to try to solve for an algebraic equation. So first fractions, then parentheses, and then the next thing that you're going to get rid of is going to be additions and subtractions. So this is going to be collecting all of the terms that have a variable in the left side or the right side, right? And all the terms that don't have a variable in the other side. So for example, in this equation that I'm showing you right here, this will mean that I will have to take this -3 and send it to the right side of the equation. So I have to send all the numbers to the right and all the numbers that have letters or all the terms that have letters to the other side. Okay, and this is going to be through addition and subtraction. When you don't have any more additions and subtractions, this is when you get rid of multiplications and divisions. So in this case, a multiplication or a division will be this 4 that is multiplying the x. So when I get rid of the -3, which is a subtraction, then I have to get rid of the 4, which is a multiplication. Okay, and we get rid of this by using the opposite operation. So if it's a subtraction, then we do an addition to both sides. If it's a multiplication, then we do a division, or we divide by both sides. And then if you have any, the last thing that you have to get rid of is exponents. We're not going to talk about exponents, but if you have any exponent, you have to get rid of it with the opposite operation, which is going to be either the root, or if it's a root, the exponent, right? So you can get rid of exponents, or you can do roots also, or whatever letter you have in there. So these are going to be the steps that we're going to, that we're going to be following in order to solve every algebraic equation. So this is the introduction. Let me show you a very, very simple example. Let's see if we can use those steps to solve for this equation. This is going to be really simple. We're going to get into the harder ones in the following videos. So I have the equation, which is 3x equals 12. That's a very, very simple equation. It has an equal sign in between. It has one term on the left side. It has one term on the right side. Now we have to follow this order of operations that I have here in the left. So the first thing that we get rid of is going to be fractions, which we don't have any fractions. So we're good. We don't have any parentheses either. And can you see that we don't have any additions or subtractions available? So all I have here is a positive 3x and a positive 12. But we don't have an addition, right? We don't have two terms with a negative or a positive sign in between. It's just one term on each side. So we don't have any additions or subtractions. Now the next thing that we have to get rid of is multiplications, divisions. So remember that the ultimate goal is to solve for x to leave the x by itself. So over here I can see that together with the x, there's something that's bugging me that I don't want it to be there, right? That's a 3. So this is a multiplication. If there's nothing in between those two numbers, we have to know that there is a multiplication. So the opposite operation of a multiplication is going to be a division. So I'm going to get rid of that 3 through a division. Now, the rule is If you do any operation in the left side of the equation, you have to do this operation on the right side of the equation with the same magnitude. So you divide by 3, you can do it, but you also have to do it on the right side of the equation. If you multiply times 10 the left side, you can also multiply times 10. You have to also multiply times 10 the right side. The same as if you add or subtract any number. If you want to do that, you can do it to an equation. It's valid, but you have to do it to both sides of the equation. Now, when you divide a number by itself, by the same number, like in this case, I have a 3 divided by 3, we say that they cancel out. They don't really cancel out, but we're just going to say that they cancel out, they become a 1. So 3 divided by 3, that becomes 1x equals, that's the left side. And then the right side, we also have to do that division, right? 12 divided by 3, that's going to be 4. Now, on this point, we don't put the 1 together with the x. We don't say I have one apple, you say I have an apple, right? You don't say one apple, you say an apple. So this means that I don't really have to include that number 1 in there. So I'm just going to get rid of that number 1. And this will be the solution for the equation. X equals 4. This is a very simple equation. X equals 4. That means that if I take 4 and I substitute, I'm going to write my original equation again. If I take 4 and I substitute it into the x, this is going to give me 3 times 4 equals 12, and we all know that 12 equals 12. So the left side equals the right side. This is the only number that you can substitute into this equation so that it becomes true. And we are following these steps on the left, right? There's 5 steps. We have to use that order, and this way things are not going to get that complicated. Another example that I'm going to show you right now is going to have some more terms available in here. So 4x minus 3 equals 13, and we're going to try to solve for x on this equation. The same, we have to follow the same steps that we have over here on the left. So the first thing that we have to get rid of is going to be fractions, which we don't have any fractions in my new equation. I don't have any fractions. I don't have any parentheses, right? So I don't have to get rid of any parentheses. I don't have any, but at this point I do have an addition or a subtraction. I do have this. Can you see I have a subtraction on the left side? I have a minus sign or a negative sign in between two terms. So this means this is a subtraction. I have to get rid of this before I keep going. So we said we're going to use the opposite operation. So in order to get rid of a minus 3 or a subtracting 3, I have to use the opposite operation. So the opposite operation of a subtraction is going to be an addition. And that I can do. I can add 3 to the left side of the equation, but if I do that to the left side, I have to do the exact same operation to the right side. Okay, the exact same operation to the right side. So if I add 3 to both sides, to the left side, I have to add 3 to the right side. Okay, same sign. And now we're going to do something in here that we call combining like terms. And I recommend you that every single time that you do one of these steps, right after you do an addition or a subtraction, you always combine like terms. Combine like terms. This is going to help you solve for the equation faster. Okay, so every single time that you can combine like terms, you do this on any side of the equation. Okay, keep that in mind. So over here, I'm just going to leave the 4x. And can you see that these two numbers cancel out, or a positive 3 and negative 3, or minus 3 plus 3? They're going to cancel out, so I don't have to include them. That's the whole purpose of adding 3 to the left side, so that it disappears, and then the number goes to the other side. Okay, so that's 4x equals, and now that positive 3 is also on the right, so I have to perform that operation, which is 13 plus 3. And 13 plus 3, that's going to be 16. Can you see that we transformed the equation into something that doesn't have any more additions or subtractions? So I have two terms, but there's no plus or minus sign in between. So on this point, right, there's one term in here, there's one term in there. We are done with fractions, we are done with parentheses, we are done with addition and subtractions, and the only thing that I have left in there is going to be a multiplication, right? So I have multiplications and divisions. I have to get rid of that multiplication. The multiplying number is going to be a 4. So the opposite operation of multiplication, that's a division. That means that if I divide by 4 the left side, that 4 is going to disappear. Now, if I divide by 4 the left side, I have to do the exact same operation to the right side. If I don't do this, I'm going to change the outcome of the equation. So these 4s are going to 4 divided by 4 becomes 1. They're going to cancel out through division. X is the only thing that remains, and I have to do the division on the right side. So 16 divided by 4, this is going to be 4, and this is going to be my solution. Once the letter is by itself, X is by itself, this is the solution that you're looking for. How do I know this is the solution? Let me write the original equation again. That's 4x minus 3 equals 13. So if I take this 4 and I substitute into the x, the left side is going to be equal to the right side. So I'm going to substitute really quick over here. So 4 times x, which is 4, minus 3 equals 13. So if I do PEMDAS to this, I have to do the multiplications first, which is 16 minus 3. And then I have to do the subtraction, which is 16 minus 3, 13. So 13 equals 13, the left side equals the right side. That means that my solution is x equals 4. For this problem over here of this checking, you may want to go to one of my other videos where I'm talking about PEMDAS and how to do PEMDAS. So over here you're doing PEMDAS because the only thing that you have is numbers. So when all you have is numbers, you can do PEMDAS, right? Which is start with parentheses and then exponents, multiplications, divisions as they happen left to right, and addition, subtractions as they happen left to right. Okay, so you have to do this procedure on both sides of the equation. When you're solving for equations, when you have some letters, I'm going to take this example on the top, right? When you have some letters and numbers combined, you may want to use these steps over here that I'm giving you to try to solve for this equation. Okay, you can start dividing if you want, you can start multiplying or getting rid of fractions or exponents, but believe me that this is the easiest way that you're going to achieve the answer. Okay, so I'm gonna upload another video with the second part of this with some other equations that are a little bit more complicated.